the deepest point on Earth, a place where pressure equals the force of nearly 50 jumbo jets, about 19 million kilos of weight, crushing from every direction. A place where the sun's light has never reached. For centuries, it was just a myth, a whisper among sailors and scientists. But in the 20th century, that myth became real, and one man, driven by obsession, set out to go there. This is the story of the Mariana Trench, the deepest point on Earth, and the man who went to the bottom of the world. For most of history, the ocean was this vast, unknowable mystery. But in 1872, the British launched the HMS Challenger, its mission to study the oceans in a way no one ever had before. They used a rope with a heavy weight, lowering it down until it hit bottom. It was cold sounding. They did this all over the world, but then, in a quiet stretch of the western Pacific, something strange happened. The rope just kept sinking and sinking and sinking. Hours passed before it finally touched bottom. Over 26,000 feet, the deepest anyone had ever measured. They had discovered a massive trench in the earth. Over the next century, scientists mapped it in detail. They gave its lowest point a name, Challenger Deep. Near the Philippines and Guam, the Mariana Trench lies in the Pacific Ocean. It stretches over 1,500 miles long and plunges down to nearly 36,000 feet at its lowest point, the Challenger Deep. But soon, the question shifted. It wasn't, does it exist anymore? It became, can we go there? In 1884, Auguste Piccard was born in Switzerland. He was one of those kids who was just impossibly smart. So brilliant that as a young physicist, he was invited to conferences with legends like Albert Einstein and Marie Curie. Auguste wasn't obsessed with the ocean, he was obsessed with the sky. He wanted to fly higher than anyone had ever flown. So in 1931, he built a pressurized balloon and became the first person to see the curvature of the Earth with his own eyes. That mission gave him an insight: the challenges of the stratosphere, surviving low pressure inside a sealed capsule, were the exact opposite of the challenges in the deep ocean. To survive down there, you needed a capsule strong enough to resist pressure from the outside. It was a light bulb moment. Auguste looked at his high-flying balloon and imagined its opposite, a deep-diving submarine. He called it the Bathys Cave. But there's a secret about that first flight. Auguste didn't do it alone. His wife Marie was a brilliant mathematician who had worked on the calculations of the flight. In fact, some historians believe she was the one who first suggested the idea to explore the ocean. In 1937, Piccard started building FNRS-2, his first prototype, but was halted by the outbreak of World War II. It was completed after the war's end and made its first test dive. Unfortunately, it was damaged in a storm. The FNRS-2 wasn't just damaged. Auguste's designs were so radical that many of his scientific peers considered them a death trap. They quietly pulled their funding, leaving the project in limbo. But Auguste didn't quit. He built a stronger version, named the Trieste, after the Italian city where it was completed. At its heart was a small steel sphere, walls over 3 inches thick, weighing more than 13 tons, a tiny bubble of safety against crushing pressure. Above it was a huge float chamber filled with gasoline. Why gasoline? Here's the genius. It's lighter than water, so it's provided buoyancy. It is also incompressible, so the deep ocean couldn't crush it. To sink, they loaded the craft with 10 tons of iron pellets. A brilliantly simple solution for an impossible problem. But could it really survive the ultimate test? There was just one problem: money. The final dive was too expensive, so the Picards sold the Trieste to the US Navy. But the Navy wasn't just buying a submarine, they were buying a failed project from a man many in the scientific community now saw as a pariah. They secretly commissioned the sail. They put a young, ambitious naval officer, Don Walsh, in charge of the dive, but with a secret directive. If something went wrong, the Navy could deny all involvement. Don Walsh was walking into a mission with a silent contract: triumph or be abandoned. On January 23, 1960, the mission was ready. On the support ship's deck stood Auguste Piccard, watching his son Jack climb into the Trieste alongside Navy Lieutenant Don Walsh. The father's dream now in his son's hands. The dive lasted over 5 hours, a slow descent into absolute blackness. The sunlight vanished, the temperature dropped, the pressure increased with every passing foot. The familiar sounds of the ocean faded away, replaced only by the hum of instruments and the diver's own breathing. At around 30,000 feet, a deafening crack rang out. For a moment, they thought they were done for, but Jack Piccard remained calm. Finally, after nearly 6 hours, they touched bottom, the Challenger Deep, the deepest place on Earth. They turned on their floodlights and saw movement, a flatfish calmly swimming on the seafloor. Life against all odds. Life was thriving in the most extreme place on the planet. After 20 minutes, it was time to go home. Jack pushed a button, releasing the tons of the iron ballast. The Trieste should upward, a reward for their courage. 3.5 hours later, it broke the surface. The crew erupted in cheers. Against all odds, they had done it. The story of Picards isn't just about a dive. It's about humanity's unshakable drive to explore. From the stratosphere to the trench, they prove the curiosity and courage can take us anywhere. Thanks for watching.